From Everybody Studios, we're jumping off the pages of SouthPark Magazine as we bring the stories to life that make up the art and soul of Charlotte. This is SouthPark Says with Prisha Chatra. Well, pull up, turn it up, and take a seat. We're talking about spa and beverage wellness. Are you curious? Well, keep listening. This is episode 6 of SouthPark Says with Prisha Chatra. Today, joining me in Everybody Studios is Priti Patel, CEO and founder of Petite Spa, and Amanda McLamb, co-founder of Resident Culture Brewing. Both organizations are celebrating milestone moments and also have their own take on relaxation, rejuvenation, and the future of wellness in our communities. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here. You know, while you were walking in, I was thinking to myself, I'm so excited to speak to both of you because you guys are like the OGs here in Charlotte in your own industries. I mean, Priti, you've been around for 15 years now with La Petite Spa.
Yes.
And Amanda, I know you and your husband started Resident Culture Brewing 8 years ago in 2017 in Plaza Midwood. So, I mean, milestone moments for both of you. I mean, I think what we want to know, first of all, is how you got started and how you survived with all of the different turnover in your industries. So, Priti, let's start with you. 15 years.
15 years, a long time. I never thought 15 years I would be here. So I started off, I was actually expecting with my daughter. And I was 6 months pregnant, and the old spa I used to work at closed down. So they shut down April 1st, walked in, the doors were shut, and here I am 6 months pregnant. So I had won the 2009 Best of the Best Awards for Best Esthetician. So I was able to gather up all of my clients' information that the spa owner actually was kind enough to come and give them to me. So she came in and said, here's your list. Go ahead, do what you need to do with it. So believe it or not, I went on Craigslist. Back in the days.
Back in the day.
Back in the days.
They had
Craigslist.
In 2000.
Opened up Craigslist and it said, you know, if you have a book of business, join us. We'd love to have you. So I come out of the car, I meet the manager, and it's in a parking lot. And he gives me a blueprint. And he goes, what room are you going to choose? Well, first of all, when I got out of the car, he didn't realize I was expecting. He looked at me, goes,
what?
Okay, when are you due? I go, in 2 months, and you have to open up this place because I have to work. And then there we are. I mean, it took from one, I went to one little small studio, opened up a larger studio, and then from there opened up our second location.
That's amazing. And your first studio was where? In Ballantyne?
No, in SouthPark.
In SouthPark.
Right across the street from SouthPark Mall.
Okay, perfect. So SouthPark Magazine, this is why we love to talk to the businesses that thrive in our area. And then you opened up one in Ballantyne. And Amanda, you also have 3 locations now after your first opening in Plaza Midwood in 2017.
Yes, that's right. We have our original location in Plaza Midwood that we opened up in 2017. We have our South End location that opened up 3 years ago. Just a couple blocks away from Bank of America Stadium. And then we have a marketplace in 7th Street Market. We are one of the vendors there. So we have a little bar top in that location as well.
Amazing. And, you know, I have to say, I'm fairly new to Charlotte. I moved here in 2020. A lot of people moved to this city during the pandemic for a fresh start and because it's so creative and has a great quality of life and a long runway to success. But we've seen a lot of breweries just not make it. Why do you think that you have been able to survive, you know, the changes in the marketplace after the pandemic? And then, Priti, I want to hear from you as well on this question.
That's a great question. So I think a lot of it is based in our core value system. 2 of our core values are innovation and positivity. And I think that those are the reason why our team inherently, we hire for it, we base how we review, and what we're going to do next is always looking at our core value system. And that's part of how we've been so flexible and the ability to pivot. We're always looking for the next thing. We're always looking to challenge ourselves. And I think that really came through over the years as we ask, okay, what else would we like to do, or how can we flex to be better? We've really seen that has provided us with a world of innovative steps into the future.
Yeah, I can imagine because, you have to be nimble and pivot if the pandemic taught us anything, but also just keeping true to those values. And it's something that you and your husband actually share because you've started this together. Is that correct?
Yeah, similar. Also, we were pregnant when we were opening our doors in 2017.
Look, everyone we can do it with being moms, new moms.
Yes, I always laugh. I'm like, you never remember a thing from opening a business or having a newborn. So sometimes you just do it together. I don't know if it'd be easier because I've actually never done it otherwise. Our second was born right as we were opening up our South End location. So we're in for all of it. We're done, but
yeah, that's right.
we had a good run there with locations and babies. So we opened up in 2017, and our daughter was born April 1st. We opened up our doors in the fall of 2017. So it was actually supposed to be the other way around in terms of birth order, but construction is what it is. So
that's right.
Yes, he is in it with me, and I am very fortunate for that. We have a very cool relationship where we were friends before we started dating for a few years. And then we've been able to do life together and also business together, which is certainly not for everybody. But we always joke when the pandemic hit that we were actually seeing less of each other because we weren't working side by side in an office anymore. One of us had to be with our 3-year-old while the other one was saving our business.
Right.
So we would swap off. I built a website for online orders and pickups. He'd be on the phone trying to handle insurance and some of the financial pieces, and it definitely showed the strengths in our partnership.
That's right. And I think actually SouthPark Magazine did an interview with you, with Sharon, our assistant editor, talking about how that marriage of business and family worked out for you. So Priti, same thing. I mean, it was family owned from the beginning.
Family owned from the beginning. As soon as I opened up, I looked over at my husband. I said, I'd love to do this. This is what I'd love to do. And if you can really help me out, because it just, you need a team behind you. And so we opened up the first location, and it was basically based on our team and personalization and result driven. And that's what we're looking for. But the same rule applies, right? I mean, he stepped up to the table and we made things work together and opened up. And then that was the reason why I was able to open up the second location.
Because you had a partnership.
Because I had the partnership.
Right.
And of course, having a great team. My staff is phenomenal. And it comes from the guest relations.
Right.
Who answers the telephone.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it does take an entire team to move you forward. Now, so for those of you who are just listening in the car, you can't see the fact that both of my guests have gorgeous skin. gorgeous skin. Glowing, like all, standing the test of time before like glow was a thing. You guys are just glowing from the inside out. How did you become in this line of work, or how did you get into this line of work? Because I know that you're from Canada.
Yes.
You came here to the United States as an adult.
As an adult.
That's correct. So tell me about your study in wellness and also in, you said you were an esthetician, right?
Yes.
So tell me how that happened and why you think that's important for women to be paying attention to those things.
So I came here from Montreal maybe about 23 years ago and decided to open up the business itself. And it was just, making sure that I wanted to have what Charlotte was lacking at the time. And at the time, there was only one spa in Charlotte.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was called Charles Grayson.
Wow.
And then she ended up closing down, I just had the honor of meeting her actually not too long ago. Phenomenal lady.
Wow.
But, and then when I ended up opening up our SouthPark location, it was just really bringing results and facials to different types of treatments to Charlotte that was not available at the time.
What kind of treatments were those?
So microcurrent, facial sculpting, holistic, more natural. And of course, now the trend is everyone comes in and gets the injections done as well. But that's our tagline for the spa is where we refine your natural beauty.
Okay.
Right. So that's basically how I based my spa on wellness, taking care of ourselves. Because, if we take care of ourselves, mind, body, and soul, but it's also empowerment for women to have that beautiful skin. When I started off, I didn't have beautiful skin. I don't know, Krisha, if you know my story.
I do, but I think it's a phenomenal one that you need to share with everyone.
I had second-degree burns on my face when I turned 18. I had just won the Miss Montreal. I went to Toronto to compete, came back. I won third runner-up, which means that about a week later, I had all these contracts, modeling contracts. And here I was cooking and had these second-degree burns. And I had just turned 18. And at the time, you don't know what's going on. We didn't know anything about plastic surgery. We didn't know about skin grafting. And I was in a cast for 4 months. And every Friday, my father would take me to the hospital. They would open up the cast, do a cleanup to make sure that I didn't have an infection forming. And I'm a third month in, the plastic surgeons had sat down with my parents and said, we can graft skin from the back of her leg and put it on her face.
My goodness.
And my mom said, well, she has hair on her legs. How are we going to do this? And so my mom decided, you know what? We're going to have to deal with this. We'll learn to live with it and we'll figure things out. So by the 4th month is when they removed the dressing. And yes, there are pictures, maybe very few pictures of me with scabs. And ever since then, it always piqued my interest for skincare. But aside from that, and with all the medication I was on, I developed a lot of cystic acne. And so with a name like Priti, it was god-awful to go to school because my nickname became Pretty Ugly for the longest time. So I really feel that, going through what I personally went through really empowered me to be the esthetician that I am today. Because I understand when teenagers come in with their issues, their concerns with their skin, and you're fed up. You try everything, every medication, or you go to the dermatologist, you end up being on medication. And sometimes it's just having a healthy gut. And, trying out different techniques that would end up working for you. And so here we are, fast forward, had to battle that. And it was, when you're 18 years old and you're dealing with second-degree burns, it's difficult. It plays with your self-esteem, your self-confidence. That's why when guests come in to see us, it's not just come in and get a facial done. It's what's going on. And there are so many times, Krisha, I can't even tell you in a week's time how many women that come to us and just cry in our bed. Say, I wish that I could have this. I wish I can do this. I said, you can. I'm going to help you. It's a journey.
Wow, Priti, and pronounced pretty too.
Yes.
You are you not only are pretty inside and out, but you make other people feel that way too. And I love that. I love that both of you are putting your time behind elevating people's lives. And I think it's really wonderful that you connect so well with your clientele. And I know, Priti, when it comes to La Petite Spa, that might be one of the reasons why you've stayed in business for 15 years. What do you say to young people that come in with the cystic acne, though? They're not there for Botox. They're not there for microcurrent facials. You can tell, I'm old school. I don't know all of the new treatments, but somehow I feel like just like sometimes the old school routines, keep you fresh and alive too in your face. But yeah, what do you say to those young people coming in?
Well, a lot of times young people are coming in, don't follow the trends. I mean, there's just so much out there, especially after when the pandemic hit. I think I get overwhelmed on social media, and I try not to be on social media. And unfortunately, I have to because I have my business. Right. But I don't scroll because I know that if I start scrolling, I will get involved in social media and I will lose myself and start believing what's out there. A healthy diet is really important. You are what you eat and what you put into your body. Your body's your temple. Your body's your home. So start off with that. It's not just about drinking your 8 glasses of water. It's trying to eliminate sugar, trying to eliminate dairy, and just eating and being more healthier. Exercise is very important for the skin as well. So when our guests come in that have the acne, as a matter of fact, we have a couple of dermatologists in Charlotte that send their patients over to us. And I became good friends with a couple of dermatologists. And upon sitting down and having lunch one day is when we discovered that we share the same philosophy. It's not, let's go straight to medicine. It's let's get down to the core of the problem. And what is the core of the problem? Is it your diet? Are you having too many sodas in a day? And then really educating these teenagers on how do you cleanse your skin? Because a lot of them don't know how to cleanse their skin.
Yeah, right? I think that that's really important. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have both of you on together at the same time, because when I was discussing with some people about having an expert in spa and wellness and an expert in brewing, they were like, what do they have to do with each other? But you just illustrated it. We're talking about what you consume, what you put in your body. And I think that Resident Culture has an answer to that in terms of you can enjoy alcohol, but there are other alternatives that are healthy.
Yes, I think we look at ourselves as being a quality craft adult liquids company. We have always from the start, I have a lot of people in my life that I'm extremely close to that for many reasons, but a lot of them because they're too good at it have decided to quit drinking alcohol. And so that has always been at the forefront of my thought process. I remember being pregnant, going to different breweries before we opened up Resident Culture and not being able to find anything except for a big thermos full of water that's at room temperature and may or may not have some mold growth on the
Oh my
spout,
goodness.
you know, and it was just sort of like, okay, well, I guess I'm bringing my own water bottle from home, or do y'all have anything exciting to drink? And the answer was no. So we've always had great non-alcoholic products available on site, and we started to play around with it again, looking at the innovation factor. So at first we made a hard seltzer, and then we started to play around a little bit more with, okay, what happens if we've tried so many different varieties of beer, from a lager, which is literally the lightest, crispest version of a beer, to a barrel-aged imperial stout that sits in a barrel for over 2 years, and then we adjunct it with chocolate and coconut and vanilla and fun things like that.
Wow,
So
sounds awesome.
we ran the gamut there, and we still do, and are very grateful to be well known for those things. But we started to play around a little bit. So first we produced that hard seltzer, and then we started to think, okay, what else is there that we love and enjoy? And the first things that came to mind for our entire team were non-alcoholic beverages, non-alcoholic beers specifically, and THC CBD beverages. So we said, okay, great. These are all still adult beverages. Let's continue to explore them. And I'm very proud to say that in the Great American Beer Festival, which is the beer world's version of the American beer world's version of the Oscars, I should say, we won for best IPA above Athletic Brewing.
Oh,
so that's on a national level. I still feel strange saying out loud because it doesn't feel like real life. But the reality is that we did win for a style that is our most popular style.
That's amazing.
And is most
Congratulations.
sought after. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. And this was just last year?
This was just in this last year, yes,
Wow.
just within the last few months. So
Yeah.
that was extraordinary. And we're very proud of our team for that. They've done exceptional work. The brew team is unreal. The quality control and every other team member truly is involved in how everybody experiences that. But we ship that across the country. And then we also started Cumulo, which is our THC CBD beverage that has an L-theanine extract from green tea. It's an amino acid that helps calm your system. And we really did a lot of research for well over a year before we launched that product and brought it in. It is non-alcoholic and only has a slight tiny addition of fruit juice to it. And so it really has what I like to call a spindrifty, less acidic spindrift kind of flavoring to it. But it's all of them are less than 12 calories. And those have also won gold. High Spirits Award out of Los Angeles is renowned in that industry as being the most prestigious award, and we won the gold medal there for
Cumulus did?
for our Cumulo product.
Cumulo. Yes,
Yeah.
I think about when I think of Cumulo, I think of cumulus clouds.
Yes, that's amazing. So our logo is a cloud, and cumulus nimbus clouds are what inspired us. We were driving actually from Charlotte. We had an ice storm in Colorado that canceled our Charlotte to Wyoming flight a couple of years ago, and we decided we were going to drive cross country because all of the reschedules were days and days later. So we packed our two very little girls. I think we had a 3 and a 6-year-old at that point. Packed them into a car, literally straight from the airport, and started driving to Wyoming to see my best friend who lives out there with her family. And, you know, we had a week, so we could either wait 4 days and only have a few days with them, or we could take a fun adventure as a family. And
Nice.
that just speaks to who my husband and I are, and also our kids. They were game.
They were up for it, right.
Best behaved 3-year-olds in the history of a 2-day road trip.
Awesome.
But we made it there. And as we're going through all of this beautiful country of just plains and sky and watching rainstorms in the distance. It really just was a beautiful moment of getting reacquainted with America as or I should say the United States and the different ways that you could experience it and how beautiful the nature was in these places that weren't as inhibited. And seeing the cloud formations there were just unbelievable. And we thought about gazing up at the sky and what that does for you in terms of clarity and focus and an almost meditative state. And that is what we had hoped that this beverage would be able to do for people. It's rise above, relax within is something that we say is really finding your peace. But you're able to be social. You're able to be with other people while you're experiencing this, or it can be a place where you go to get into your more creative, calm space.
That's beautiful. It's really a call to look at nature for answers, but yet also look around you and see the people that you can pull from and share an experience with, and remembering your place.
Yes.
You know, your place in this big, beautiful world. My guests today are Priti Patel from Petite Spa and Amanda McLamb from Resident Culture Brewing. We're talking about the intersections of relaxation, wellness, and rejuvenation. So ladies, I just want you, we've had some funny moments here all of a sudden. I want you to tell me, what do you think is kind of missing right now in the wellness space, and what can people do to help them through this that people feel on a day-to-day basis? More so, I feel like we're talking about it more so than ever, but more so I feel like people have self-diagnosed themselves with anxiety. Can you talk a little bit about what your products and your services do to address that?
Well, so I will say, obviously, the qualifications that none of the effects of our beverages have been referenced by the FDA, et cetera, et cetera. But anecdotally, I will say that us adding the L-theanine product to our beverages, I think they have no added sugar. They only have a tiny bit of fruit juice. That low caloric intake but high hydration factor, plus something that I find to be incredibly calming, and that L-theanine, with the research that we've seen, very much brings that calming effect. And CBD, that's always double what our THC, our Delta 9 THC is. We have found that it brings people that we're discussing it with to a place where they're able to turn off that never-ending list, which is what drives my anxiety, for instance, especially as a mom of very young children, a working mother. I find that I get into bed at night, let's say, and instead of being able to go to sleep, which is what's going to set me up for the most success, that I'm just on a list of, okay, did I remember that my child has the camp this morning that starts at 9 a.m. that I have to pack lunch and also bring the swimsuit and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what I have found that Cumulo, I wasn't somebody who used THC in forms prior to my youth, and my husband was a Tar Heel. He played basketball for the Tar Heels, so he was a major athlete and was unable to partake in anything. And he just in general is not interested in anything that is related to smoking in his body. So he wasn't really engaged in this prior. So it's been something that we've researched and done for ourselves over the course of time. And mine is a very minimal intake. We have a 2 milligram product that has double the CBD. And that for me is very much like I have that in the evenings. And when I go to sleep, I don't have that running list anymore. And I can
just relax.
Just relax and turn that off. And I don't feel any psychoactive components other than that. I feel very much just at ease. And I think a lot of I find that a lot of mothers, especially with young children, are the ones that approach me saying, I love this product. Thank you so much. It's become a big part of my life. Are young, I would say moms with young children, especially if they're working and have really high level jobs, they're the ones that are really coming over and saying, thank you, this has changed my life, because I used to sit down and have 1 glass of wine and then it would become 2 glasses of wine. And then I'm waking up the next morning and I feel awful
with a hangover. Yeah.
Right. And then I am less productive the next day and unable to do the things that I want to do or be the best mom. And meanwhile, we've all got these tracking apps now for our sleep and all of that kind of stuff and hyper aware. But they were able to say that they were actually able to get the deepest and best sleep and rejuvenate versus harming their sleep cycles, which is what I was personally experiencing. So I feel like that has been extraordinary to be able to share with people.
That's amazing. And that was your goal in a way, to have an alternative to the alcohol and the prescription medicine that is required sometimes, or that people choose to take to address anxiety. And so that's really good. And it comes in 2 different flavors. Is that correct?
It depends on the milligram level, but we have a tropical punch, a strawberry lemonade. That is called pink lemonade, but that's what it is. And we have mango lime. We just released 2 new flavors that our entire team's obsessed with. It's been in R&D for the last few months, and they are mixed berry and peach tangerine. And it's funny, we have wars between our team members, but also as we've been running tastings and seeing which ones. Somebody is always a diehard one or the other. So it's really fun. We're excited to be able to share that.
Yeah. So there's something for everyone, all palates. So Amanda, with Cumulo that's infused with THC Delta 9, does it have different effects on different people?
Yes, absolutely. I would say you could take 2 people that are identical in so many ways, and maybe one person has eaten, or their metabolisms are different based on whatever it is, even though they're the same exact weight, age, et cetera, and they'll have different experiences. So I think it's really important, if it's something that you've never experienced before, to really tiptoe in and just take it slowly. So because it's a beverage, it enters your bloodstream within 10 to 20 minutes because you're drinking it and it's transferring through your esophagus. So that is something unique versus, say, an edible, where it has to go through your entire digestive system, and the way that digests is completely different. So the milligrams that you're even having on edibles, or what you do from a smoking perspective, just know that this is a different product in terms of the way that it enters your body, even though it's still cannabis. So
got it. And you have time to pace yourself, because you'll feel the effects in 10 to 15 minutes.
Exactly. So we love to drink this more of cocktail style, just because it's really pretty and it's fun over ice and it tastes nice chilly. So we'll pour it over ice, but you can actually pour out the entire thing into, say, a ball jar, or if you have any other measuring device, see how much is fully in there, and then pour it in increments. The 2 milligram one, for instance, for me, I'm a more sensitive person, I would say, for any kind of drugs, even for prescription medication that I have to take for allergies. So I always am very cautious.
Right.
And that's what I did. The 2 milligram aspect for me personally doesn't make me feel any sort of way. So I don't feel inhibited. I don't feel anything other than some of that calm and peacefulness, and instead of the anxiety to finish my to-do list when I get into bed at night.
Right.
So,
well, that's good. That's good to be mindful of that
yes.
It might affect you in different ways. So
yes,
thank you.
I would say if you've never had it before, definitely start at the lower milligram or partial. It once you start to get to the 10 or the 30 milligram options, those are for people who really have already tried and experienced and feel confident moving into that space, even though the flavors are also really delicious. But
okay, cool. That makes sense. Is that something, Priti, you think that you might try? And if so, you might try, but also what does your salon and your spa offer to address anxiety?
Well, the spa is a wellness hub, right?
Yeah.
I mean, women come into us not just for skincare, but for education, for community, for guidance. We have some of our treatments that offer lymphatic drainage, facial massages, scalp massages. Some of the essential oils that we use really come in and help relax the client as well. And actually, I was just thinking to do a protocol with you. Why not give our clients a sip of your drink after they finish one of our treatments.
Oh, wow. Look at it. It happened here on SouthPark Says, the
Listen,
connection.
collaboration.
I think
The
that's a great
collaborations.
collaboration because women come to us on a daily basis. I'm stressed. I've and I know for myself. Right, I get up at 4:45. I've got the 2 kids.
That's right.
Exactly like you, just trying to get everything done. I'm in the office at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I still take clients. And I work from 9 to 7. I still work on the floor. So by the time I come home, it's get dinner ready. Did I miss out on this? Did I do this? But that is a challenge that I think every mom faces on a daily basis. And then when you add being an entrepreneur in a woman-owned business, well, now you've got double the load that you have to take care
That's
of.
right. That's right.
So when I came out with the menu of services that we have, it was really focusing on, of course, result-driven, not following a trend, but it was more holistic. And that's why some of the devices and modalities that we have really help with mind, body, and soul. It really, the clients walk out, just in a whole different world. We ask them not to turn their phones off. We ask them to turn their phones off, before they walk in. We do not have any alarm clocks. We have no watches. We have no clocks around because I don't want that guest to wake up and look at the clock saying, oh, I have to run. You walk in. We serve beautiful tea at the spa as well.
I remember.
So you remember. So they're nice and relaxed before they begin their service, and they're nice and relaxed before they walk out of the service.
That's wonderful. Yeah, because the worst thing, honestly, is to go to a spa service and partake in a spa service and then jolt out of there and immediately all that relaxation has just rushed away. It's so irritating because you feel like you've wasted your time and your money. And it's just disappointing, too, because you felt like in such a great Zen space. And what I know I always look forward to is allowing just even a portion of it to carry over to that next task that I have to do and at least reset my brain so that I feel like I can look at it from a less stressful point of view and say, okay, whatever happens in this next moment, it'll happen. I feel good and I feel confident enough to be able to approach it from a very positive, productive standpoint. And that's where I try, at least when I partake in a lot of wellness and spa activities. I recently wrote an article on all the head spa craze here in Charlotte. And I feel like, again, that for SouthPark Magazine, I feel like, again, when someone is touching your hair, when someone is, feeding you or allowing you to consume something that is good for your body or rejuvenating you in some way, it's care, and that care makes you feel good and important. Do we just not have enough of that in this world nowadays, do you feel? Or do you feel like we need to make that more of a priority?
We need to make it a priority to take care of ourselves. I feel that if women and men, we treat a lot of men that come in. And now it's interesting because when I first opened up 15 years ago, we didn't have, I think I had maybe 2-3 male clients that became my regulars. Now we have a good 30% of our clientele are males.
Wow.
30%
of our males come in.
That's incredible.
Really? And they're repeat customers?
And they're repeat customers. We have a membership, so they purchase the memberships and they're in our spa every 5 weeks. Either it's a gentleman's facial, they'll come in, get a nice scalp massage done at the same time, or they'll come in for their other services as well. But 30% make up our male revenue today.
That's amazing. Why do you think that is?
I think the trend of, the women that have been with us for so many years
are telling their husbands.
Right? I actually had a guest who said, I can't look old, Priti. My wife looks younger and younger, and I don't want to get under the knife. I don't want to do plastic surgery. I don't want to get a facelift. I need to come in and see you. So the interesting story is he's been seeing me now for 9 years. His wife doesn't come anymore.
Oh, amazing.
She's like, I'm done.
She's done. She looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And he comes in every 6 weeks.
Oh,
He's
my
in
goodness.
the spa getting his services done.
Good for him.
Absolutely.
Good
and
for
yeah,
him.
it's you are what you eat. You take care of yourself at home. That's very, very, very important. Stress is our number one killer, right?
Yes.
It's
Stress is what I feel like causes everything. And
Absolutely.
it's interesting. You both have said mind, body, and soul. And I am a very avid follower of Dr. Ellen Langer, who is one of the founders, or attributed to being one of the founders of positivity, or positive psychology, and she is at Harvard University now. But there's an argument there that I think it sounds like all of us would agree that mind and body are always referred to in American culture and linguistically as these separate entities, when actually they're the same. Your brain is part of your body.
Yes.
What you think and the way that we're learning more and more that your gut affects your mental health, and so much of what you are putting into your body and the stressors that you're feeling affects your mind and your body. And so that's been something that I think has been one of the pieces that my partner and I have really, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, have really started to focus on for ourselves. And we're not always great at it. He's a born and raised Charlottean, and he loves some of the core foods from the area that are truly comforting. And I think that there's a value there too.
Right, the Southern foods you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, the meat and three.
Oh my gosh, yes. And he loves the sweet. And yeah, we've been a lot more thoughtful over the years about what we put into our bodies. It was 2012. My dad had a near fatal heart attack. His widowmaker was 99% blocked. And for a very odd twist of things, I was actually at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition at the time, taking courses on health and wellness and nutrition. It was something that I was really passionate about. I still am. And he had this heart attack, survived. We always joke that the biggest part was that he survived my mom driving him to the hospital because she's such a bad driver. But regardless, he made it, and he made it out, and he's still with us, which is such a blessing, especially since we just celebrated Father's Day.
Yes, absolutely.
That really was a huge shift in learning that even if your numbers are good, even if you're taking your pills that adjust your numbers, that you could have buildup that causes a heart attack. And obviously this is my family. So I was deep in research and education, and then also learning that it isn't as simple as getting your blood drawn and having it told. It's progressive and how you treat yourself on a regular basis.
Right.
So you can have variants. Like for me, I eat meat, but I don't eat a lot of it. And so it's like, if I'm out with my kids and they want to have a cheeseburger and we're out at a cookout with friends, like, sure, I'll go ahead and have a bite of that. For me, that's what feels like it works for me right now. And then at the same time, most of my weekdays are more plant-based. And
so you're just very mindful of what you consume.
Yes.
Because of all of these markers that have happened in your life, and also what you've observed with your friends and your family.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm wondering, we had a conversation before we started this podcast. Both of you hail from different cultures outside of the U.S., and your families come from other countries. Do you think that any of that is informed with your philosophy of life, any of those Eastern? Priti, I know that your background is Indian, and you shared with me you also have an Asian background, Amanda. So do you feel like any of those philosophies are part of how you behave in terms of the way you live your life in everyday aspects?
I know for me, it absolutely does. I mean, it just comes back down to even intermediate fasting. It's something that we've been raised to do. We will never, we'll have dinner at 6:00, but I won't say it's 9:00. Let's have dessert, right? At 6:00, my mother would say, okay, at 6:00, kitchen's closed. Okay, kitchen's closed. And that's always been embedded in our head. So even in my own home, once the kitchen is closed, we will not go back to the refrigerator and pull out ice cream. And so intermediate fasting has been very important in our family. I've started to juice for quite some time, adding turmeric, which is such an excellent ingredient. But I've been doing that for years. But
before it was trendy, before it was a superfood.
Before it became a superfood.
That's right.
Right? And I make this cough syrup because, again, being of Indian culture, we never grew up drinking cough medicine when we would have a cold. It would always be some Ayurvedic medicine that my mother would create because her mother taught her. And so my clients will come and call me, or they'll send me a DM on Instagram. I'm not feeling well. What can you make me? And it really consists of ginger and turmeric.
Wow. Yeah.
I should create that into
You
a big
should.
business.
You should.
I was about to say
Right?
the Chinese version, because I'm half Chinese, and our version of that was ginger, lemon, and honey with water. So
Okay,
you
so
would
same
make
thing
like
with
a
us.
very heavy ginger. But turmeric is something that I've started to add too with black pepper because that
pepper.
helps activate it.
And that's good
so
for your
I just
throat,
add
too.
that
That's
in pretty
great for
much
the
everything.
throat.
Yeah.
Great for the throat.
Wow.
So
And these are just natural herbs and spices that our grandparents, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents have always used throughout time.
Yes, and I think in general, I love the Michael Pollan quote: "If it's made in a plant, don't eat it. If it's grown from a plant, do," or some version of that. I'm not nailing it, but
That's clever.
That for me is a little bit of a pathway of how I've chosen to try to live my life as much as possible. Having very young children, it's not totally plausible to live in a world in which you don't touch anything processed because that's, there's schools and
difficult,
parties and outings and whatnot. But I think overall looking for those versions, like we actually did, fasting is not something that's part of my culture necessarily, nor my husband's. And he had found Prolon, which is a company that does fasting where you're actually eating meals. So you are eating throughout a 5-day process. They do a 1-day too. But all of it is plant-based and about really better regulating your sugar intake and glucose levels. And for him, it is, I think he did it maybe about 6 months ago for the first time, and we just finished it a few days ago for the second time. And I've been with him for almost 2 decades, and I have never known him to not have an impulsive sweet tooth. Aggressively, he's stolen from me as a pregnant woman. He's stolen from my children. We're very open about this, so I don't feel bad saying this out loud. But so I think that's something that I've seen a shift for him, where he will be offered a sweet, and it's something that he loves, like a chocolate chip cookie. Which if there's warm chocolate, like it's game over for him. And he literally, without me even saying anything or looking in his direction, will be like, "No, I'm good, thank you," because he had already eaten and he feels better about it. And it's not some crazy alteration outside of the fact that he hit a reset button in his body and changed what his intense cravings were through that. And it's been wild. It's been wild to see.
Sometimes it's just like a balance right in the head. Like if I know that there was one period of time where I cut out sugar. And I will tell you, the 4th day was terrible because I don't even eat Honey Nut Cheerios.
And you just have these withdrawal symptoms.
And so I knew I wanted to eat sugar. So I would have like 2, 3, or I crush it up, just put it under my tongue because I crave that sugar.
Oh, wow.
And then you realize, wow, like this is a craving that you have that you normally would never have just because I withheld myself from eating that sugar. And after that, I was fine.
Once you get over the hump.
Once you get over that hump.
Right.
Because then you start realizing, and when I did end up eating sugar, not to say that I don't eat chocolate, I love chocolate.
Same.
But you're just dragging. And you're just tired.
Yeah. Your body has an adverse effect to it once it's been withheld for a long time. Yeah. And so I think that's an interesting way to sort of wrap this conversation up is, there are methods and like both of you talked about, there are ways that we can reset our patterns and our habits. And maybe that is the future of wellness, is just to change what we've been doing that hasn't worked for us to something that is manageable that does work for us, and reset it, whether it's eating, relaxing, consuming a beverage, self-care, taking care of, your skin and your hair and your body, just these little changes that are just part of our routine, that become part of our routine. As we wrap up here, is there anything else that you ladies want to talk about in terms of where the direction of your industries are going or what you would like to see in Charlotte? What I would like to see is for Cumulo to be in La Petite Spa.
We're going to work on that, you and I.
So that would be awesome. But anything coming up this summer, too, that you would like the listeners to know about in terms of what's happening in your organizations?
as a spa owner, well, first of all, make sure you wear your sunscreen because
PSA.
don't please come in burnt because you know that I will have a fit in you'll
That's
see
right.
my eyes start rolling because now you're burnt.
When you put us under that machine.
And when I put you
yeah.
under that machine that shows us what the underlying condition is of the skin, it's not always pretty. But then again, no one has perfect skin, not even myself, believe it or not. You see my skin today, it looks beautiful. But when I put my face down in that machine, you could see all my burns.
Wow.
Yeah, you can. So I'm extremely careful. I mean, I've got sunscreen everywhere possible.
That's good. That's good to tell
so
people.
Please don't, and if you haven't had your moles checked, please go get your moles checked. We have 8 clients battling melanoma now. And I noticed 3 of them on their face. Wow. So just be careful of that. Sit under sun, wear long sleeves as much as you can. I mean, when you're out in the sun, just be careful. Reapply sunscreen as often as you possibly can. And it's not about the brand, it's about the ingredients.
Wonderful.
See what's in it
Wonderful.
before you put it on your face.
Yeah. The EWG has a great app for that where you can screen through what the different healthy ingredients are, especially when it comes to sunscreen.
Yes.
I'm a big fan.
You're a big fan too.
Yes. I think I've got like 3 different kinds in my
Your stable
currently, because I also have the little kid.
Yeah.
I have one
The kid
extra
one.
ones for kids.
Yes.
My 8-year-old's responsible for her own, but we've got extra. But yeah, I can support that enough.
So we obviously understand sunscreen is very important this summer. Is there anything else that's happening, Amanda, at the brewery this summer?
Yes, we are very excited. We've started to distribute not just out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and launched our shipping, which goes to every state that it's legal for us to be able to share it with. But we're also expanding in North Carolina. So if you are somebody who's over in Wilmington or Wrightsville Beach, we go all the way out to the coast now. We're up in the mountains and we'll soon to be in the Outer Banks as well. So we are so excited to be part of our beach culture and mountain culture throughout the hot months in Charlotte.
Good. Well, sunscreen up, everyone. Go get yourself pampered at La Petite Spa. Have a drink or try something new at Resident Culture Brewing. Ladies, thank you so much for being here. Priti Patel, Amanda McLamb, really appreciate it. And for more information, check out their websites and also SouthPark Magazine, southparkmagazine.com for our upcoming issues about businesses here in South Park and South Charlotte and the rest of the city. Take care, you guys. Have a good summer.